The blue economy raises, of course, just by its mere title, a lot of questions. But I think what we have to realize is that the economy that we've been looking at, the green economy, is an economy that today is in... Yes, we're going to talk about the blue economy. And the book has just been published 2 weeks ago. And I want to thank very much Martha, where is Martha? Because Martha, she secured that my bad English was translated into great English. Don't think what I've written was written by me. It were some ideas by me, and Martha just converted it into a wonderful book. Thank you to Martha. The blue economy raises, of course, just by its mere title, a lot of questions. But I think what we have to realize is that the economy that we've been looking at, the green economy, is an economy that today is in need of subsidies and higher taxes. It's an economy that requires from angel investors to forego returns. It obliges consumers to pay more. And I tell you, what's going to happen to the 3 billion people who are in the bottom of the pyramid? They cannot be part of this at all. The green economy cannot take off because we don't want it. You and I, we all want it badly. But as long as it is too expensive and relying on taxes is not going to become the mainstream, what we have to be able to do is nothing less than outcompete the system that is there. But we have to outcompete the way that David beat Goliath. Change the rules of the game. It's the only way. And don't inform your competitors that you are changing the rules of the game. You know, keep quiet. Do it. I mean, the big problem is that we have big mouths, we talk a lot about what we're going to do, and then everyone knows what we're going to do, and then, of course, they're well prepared. David went out, had a few stones with him, threw the stones, knocked out Goliath, and Goliath didn't even know it was about throwing stones. He thought it was a wrestle match. And this is how we have to rethink our business models. I was a part of the green economy, and I created this factory, which Wes already described. And while we were doing such great things in this factory, and as Wes rightly said, this factory was already disconnected from the grid, and in 1992, our car fleet, all our transportation in Europe was done with biodiesel, biofuels, 92. We were 75% lower in energy consumption than the most efficient factory. And I think it was just the beginning. Until one day, I went to Indonesia and I realized that my demand for biodegradable palm oil as a main ingredient for my soaps led to the destruction of 800,000 hectares of rainforest. And it led to the destruction of the habitat of the orangutan. Now, how can I be a green leader and a green entrepreneur when I am not seeing the unintended consequences? I didn't want the orangutan to lose its habitat, but I didn't see the connection that actually when I was making biodegradable soaps, when I'm making a biodegradable soap, it's not sustainable. Biodegradation is not equal sustainability. And I didn't see that. But we're so eager and so keen to move on this path that we're willing to take the unintended consequences along with it. And we see many of those. So in '94, I embarked on a mission to imagine the new business model. And I decided that the first what we have to do is redefine what is sustainability. Because whatever there was there didn't work for me. And I defined it as sustainability is the capacity to respond to the basic needs of all with what we have. I mean, we are a species that is capable of wanting things that we don't have. What an amazing desire. We are capable of making money of things that don't exist. I mean, it's a very creative species, but it's quite destructive as well. But working with what you have is exactly what ecosystems do. Ecosystems, apart from migratory birds, only use what is locally available. And I think this is really a tremendous new insight that we're gaining. Work with what you have and compete on the basis of that principle. You remember this famous proverb, if you give a man a fish, he will not be hungry for the day. If you teach him how to fish, that's the problem. Our wisdom of the past is not going to take us to the future. And if we're only teaching our children what we know, they can only do as bad as we have done. We need to go beyond. We need to create an openness, a freedom, so we can think out of the box. And please, don't even get in a box. Stay out. What we're in need of is, imagine innovation. Innovation has been benchmarked all around us. And so what I did with this book is that in 2005, we commissioned to Janine Benyus to study, and she would inventorize all the scientific literature and all the innovations one can find in nature. And then we came to this hard conclusion that only 3 out of the 2,233 cases, only 3 were commercialized. Hey, what's wrong? This idea is great, it's been around and I love it, but it doesn't get to the market. So therefore I said we shouldn't focus on the recipe from the Namibian beetle. We should be thinking through what's the business model we're creating. And in order to look at the business models, I took the best cases that we could see, submitted them to CPAs, to financial analysts, to journalists. We submitted them to people in the business world and said, which one do you like most as a new business model? And out of that came the book, 100. Those 100 have been seen and looked at both by the VCs around the world as the scientists, as well as by social activists as environmentalists. IUCN, International Union for the Conservation of Nature, as well as the United Nations went through it. But here are 100 cases, and in analyzing the 100 cases, I was trying to identify, as I do in the last chapter of the book, I'm trying to identify what are the principles of these. And principle number 1 is that everything is really inspired by the system, not by an individual species. It's the system, and the system always changes. The only constant that we have is change. Nice. Any innovation you find in an ecosystem is sustainable, and it's been benchmarked. It means it's benchmarked. It means that if it isn't working anymore, it has become a fossil. Interesting. Second principle of innovation, and I'm only giving you 5 of the principles out of the 21 principles in the book, is that first and foremost, these innovations in nature are based on physics. Not biology, not chemistry. Physics is at the core of innovations. The reasons are perhaps simple, but I'll go more into detail about it with the cases that I present to you. But chemistry depends on pressure and temperature, 2 physical conditions, plus the catalysts. And the catalysts that we have been choosing in our life for our industry are extremely toxic. In biology, everything is an exception. That means that if you want to have a predictable result with your industry based on innovations in biology, the only option you have is GMO and create chemical conditions to control the environment, because in nature everything evolves. And if you want to have predictable results, so therefore we have to rethink the way that we produce food, water, housing, our health, energy. We have to rethink first and foremost using the laws of physics. And I'll give you a series of examples to demonstrate how it works. Third, natural systems always eliminate the blatant, unsustainable processes, habits of production and consumption that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, or should I say gentlemen, the razor is one of our most unsustainable symbols. We're throwing away this year 100,000 tons of titanium because we want to have a close shave. And even those who are in Greenpeace and permaculture or part of Wall Street, they shave and use Gillette. Schick, Bic, or Wilkinson. That's it. Robert, you're an exception. You don't shave. I know. My wife said this morning, shave. So